Good morning, my people. I got allergies right now, too. I'm allergic to the cat in that house. Good morning. How's everybody doing? It's sunrise here, February 22nd, 2022. All twos. It's a very special day, and this is what YouTube is meant for, right? These live videos. You know, I am starting to make some more well-produced videos, but originally YouTube was meant for this, these live, raw videos. This is what YouTube was all about. Of course, I have been coming along with the times and making better produced videos, but of course, at the beginning, I was just doing this for just random, like, talks driving in my car on the way to work and things like this, and it sort of evolved where I started sharing my radio show and some of my other things, but I'm doing live videos for you guys, and now it's sort of expanded more. But I have been revealing my remote viewings at my patreon.com/the mystical spiral. In my opinion, this is one of the most interesting and intriguing Patreons you could be at. This is high level information that you're getting, and man, where do I start this morning? There's so much to share with you guys. And first I want to talk about just how I have been led to meet certain people in my life that led me to even work with copper. And this is not a pitch at all, but copper has helped me block all the distortions that are around us and have a higher connection, a better, higher dimensional connection, so I can better navigate my way to source, which most people cannot connect to source. And before I even share some of the information that we're going to be sharing with us right here at sunrise, even though it's a little foggy, I wanted to even clear up some of the things that I said during the transmission that we were doing from Stonehenge at 432 hertz. We had Maria Wheatley at 432 hertz transmitting from a radio receiver, and I had another radio receiver of the same kind at the North Salem Balanced Rock, and I was listening at the 432 hertz transmission and recording it. I also was having telepathic experience, physical experience. I was seeing waves of energy coming out in mathematical intervals all around the rock in these arcs. They were arcs of like plasma, like reddish and bluish and green, like different rainbow colors of arcs going like this, like arcing. And on those arcs were like traveling these spheres of intelligence. They were like sound vibrating spheres of life that were traveling along those arcs of energy. And I saw it at certain times. I would see it for a few seconds, and then it would go back to regular, and then I would see it for a few seconds. At one time, when I was laying underneath the red granite chamber, it felt like we were spinning, right? Like clockwise spinning. And then it felt like me and the dolmen were like a vehicle shooting through the cosmos for like a few seconds and then back down to earth. It was really intense. And I didn't really start getting the higher information coming in and having like a real physical experience when I was actually seeing things until I shut off all the phones and all that, and I was just having the frequency generator with 432 hertz on. And because before that I was just letting Maria transmit 432 hertz, and then when she was done with her whole with our project and experiment, I stayed there for another couple hours by myself, and I brought out a portable frequency generator. I had it at 432 hertz going, I had crystal skulls and kyanite and everything charging within the bowl beneath there, because beneath that red granite chamber is also an ancient stone bowl that's been there just probably as long as the red granite dolmen. It's part of it. It's carved into one of the quartzite slabs beneath it that is balancing on underneath. It's coming out from that. And that stone bowl beneath there just happens to be just big enough, the same exact size for my elongated crystal skulls that I have. I have two of them that are like the size of like a toddler's head. It's not a full-grown human's crystal skull, but it's pretty big. It's like 6 or 7 inches. You know, I have two of them like that. And then I have a few smaller ones. But I have 13 crystal skulls personally that I own of my own. I also carry some on my website. The ones that I sell are smaller ones, because people don't realize the crystals I have on my website, 99% of them I know exactly where they come from. And the crystal skulls that I sell on my website, I'm actually sending crystal out to the gentleman that I use, the family that I use to carve them. I send them the crystals, and they carve me what I want out of the crystals I provide for them. You know, not many other places that sell crystal skulls are going through that. So, you know, when you see, even like I charge like 20, it's less than $25 for a small crystal skull. It's like a small one, but that includes the shipping. I don't charge for shipping if you live in the United States. And it's me, and I have to send it out to India, then come back, and then, so it's really, I'm not making much money off selling those crystal skulls. They're for people there, you know. I only get a few at a time. Like, I'll get only like 4 or 5 done at a time, because I can't afford, you know, but it's really worth it. And the crystals, the same thing. I have the highest quality crystal, and the same thing with the copper. You know, there's a gentleman that I work with in India, and between me and him, we get everything created on my website. My buddy Masaki knows the same gentleman, and you know, it's really our own products, and that's what the Mystical Spiral is all about. It's been helping us protect and heal our mind, body, and soul through copper and crystals. Nature's technology. This is products that God seeded here. This is not man-made stuff. You know, it's not man-made structures. It's not a middleman to connect us to Source. It is Source. It's part of Source that's going to help us connect to Source by blocking the distortions and healing ourselves. Right? You should never need a middleman to get to Source. You should never need to build some sort of Stargate to get to a dimension from artificial structures. You should never need a middleman to connect. You should never need something to step in for you telepathically, like a channel, to embody you, to receive higher information. You have Source within you already. You can connect to yourself. You should not need something to step in for you to provide that information. What's that middleman about? What's the middleman for? Why is that middleman there? That leads to distortions, even if you think the middleman might be a positive, benevolent entity. The middleman doesn't need to be there. You're my neighbor. I'm in New York. Oh, in Oklahoma. Oh, you're talking about in the chat room. It's not all about me. Grand Rising, beautiful souls. Yes, beautiful. And at this site, the North Salem Balanced Rock, I have been going there for many years. The first time I passed it was in the 80s. I live about 28 miles from there, which takes me almost about 40 minutes to get there, because I got to drive over mountains and over really rocky and pothole roads, and it takes a little while to get there, but it's about 28 miles from me if I go over the Bear Mountain Way. It's in the northern Westchester side, like near almost like Katona and stuff like that. It's called North Salem, New York, right? So I first passed there in the 80s when I was driving on the oil truck with my brother. My brother used to drive an oil truck My family, my dad actually owned a small little company at the time, home heating oil company in Westchester. And then a bigger company had bought our company out, and we went to go work for them for a little while. My brother used to drive the truck in that area when I was younger, and I used to ride on the truck and help my brother. And I first passed this rock. It was probably like in the late 80s, and I was mesmerized by it passing it, you know. Right away I saw, right? And this is really amazing. So when I was able to drive, I went back, you know, and then recently in later years, you know, I was working at a job, and then this guy Phil, that was my boss at the time. I was a supervisor, and he was my manager. He was actually looking at the rock online, and I was like, yeah, man, I know that. I got to go back to that. And then ever since then, I've really been going there on special times, solstices, and all of this. And what I'm about to share with you, I have been documenting basically since about 2001. And I've been mentioning it on my website since 2015. And it's related to what I mentioned the other day when I said the keepers of the mist. This is something that is referred to in ancient writings, what we know in ancient writings as the great ones of the mist, keepers of the mist, the heroes of the mist, the kings of the mist. It's very mysterious how they talk about it even in the times of creation. This mist intelligence was around, right? Well, I was shown what this is all about. And it is related to creation. It's related to seeding worlds. It's an intelligence of source. And I've been revealing it on my Patreon. Actually, on my Patreon the other night, you guys have heard me probably on the Leak Project, on various shows that I've been on recently. I've been on a whole bunch of different shows recently. I was just on Esoteric Nights of Malta, Paranormal Portal, Leak Project. And I was doing this project actually for Richard C. Hoagland with Maria Wheatley. And for years, I've been talking about some of this information. And I think I was actually time-coded to sort of connect with this project now. To bring it maybe out in the light even more for humanity to get it collectively. To realize we have a connection to source. It's not all about just going out and making money and paying bills. That's what's been programmed in all of you forever. Of course, we need to survive and make money, but it's not all about that. There's a spiritual connection to who we are that is being lost. And that's the only way we can harmonically evolve with the universe and coexist. Because we're going to break cosmic law without that balance. It's a harmonic cosmic law that our dimension is breaking. And we have that connection within us. We are slowly losing who we are. We are becoming the new Nephilim. Right before our eyes. Feel the anger rising in everybody. Right? And there might even be ones in stasis waiting to become our kings when we are prepared and transformed into the new Nephilim. But we have a cosmic connection to who we are. There's a torus system down to the very cells of our bodies, spinning tori within tori, all the way to the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud of our solar system and beyond, and the other Oort cloud, all the torus spheres within our universe and our whole biosystem that's connected to us. We're connected to that. And I've been talking about the Kuiper Belt for many, many years, and I was shown that there is an intelligence in our solar system of God, of creation, that God made, the universe made. It's from God. It's not evil. It's only evil when it's within you. But there are evil entities out there. There is an evil presence out there as well. There's light and dark. But there is a great intelligence beyond that. and it's an intelligence of God that governs over our solar system. Solar, our solar system. Think about that, how it's even worded, right? The soul system of the sun, right? And our sun is a super quantum intelligence, just like all the suns out there. It's a super intelligence. And ours is actually a binary. I was shown that Sirius C is our other sun. What we think is Sirius C, that's actually, I believe, our binary star. And I could be wrong, but that was what was shown to me. I could be reading it wrong, but I get shown things within certain visions and symbols, and it's like a knowing of information at the same time. And I was shown that what we call in the ancient writings as the keepers of the mist, or the great ones of the mist, is an intelligence that exists within the Kuiper Belt. There are superstructures, planet-type devices, intelligences that are rotating. Always when I come to that point, it breaks out, and when I'm walking on. So there are structures, what I'm talking about, and think that I'm talking crazy talk, just turn off the channel. Thumbs down if you want. I don't care. Unsubscribe. But do the research to what I'm talking about, and you'll even understand that it's quite possible. What I'm saying is possibly. It's possible. It can happen. Of course, I cannot prove everything to you, but I'm showing evidence in a lot of my research and work. Now, there's structures within this Kuiper Belt. One of them, I believe NASA calls them Arawan, which is coincidentally the Welsh god of doom. But they're structures that I believe what we call in these ancient writings, a lot of them even in Italian mythos of the gods, how the gods created things. You'll see these mysterious kings of the mist, or keepers of the mist, or great ones of the mist, that have to do with the creation and time and all of this. So I was shown that intelligence that's talked about is actually an intelligence that exists and presides over comets within our solar system and within our Kuiper Belt. There are certain structures that program comets with certain bacteria and DNA, and also coordinate how they have certain cycles throughout the solar system and the universe, where they're gonna come to certain specific coordinates of time at specific times. You know, these comets, they travel on mathematical precision throughout the cosmos. They're long-term comets and long period comets and short-term period comets, where they're on cycles in orbits and things like this, right? And there's an intelligence that presides over that. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is connected to us in source. And this is what I was even connecting to at the balanced rock. And I believe copper is playing a big part in that. Because I was led to, basically intuitively, it was coming to me that I need to wear copper bracelets every time I'm there, that I have to have a copper harmonizer. I was basically been giving a blueprint telepathically of everything to do. I had a whole bunch of stuff with me, and I charged certain crystals there and things afterwards as well. But I was getting like a telepathic blueprint of what to do. Most people don't follow that, or don't have that inner dialogue going on. And we have that connection to source. You just have to listen to it. It's the harmony of the spheres. It's the music of God, the music of the universe. We all have it in us. Just some people have tuned it out. It's been programmed. It's been edited out of most people. And even if they want to, if they're starting to hear it a little bit, their ego won't let them. No, people think I'm crazy or this or that. It's just like, you know, and it's an overflow for them sometimes. But, you know, I've been through so much in life, it doesn't matter what people say. I've been through so much. I've gone through so much. There's not. I've been strangled by other men, knocked unconscious. I've gone through drug addiction when I was younger. I've gone through group homes. I've gone through being on the street. I've gone through having money, not having money. I've gone through having children. I've gone through losing my mother. I've gone through good times, bad times, being a musician, being on the road, being a musician. Going through spiritual experiences, spiritual initiations, and ayahuasca ceremonies. And I've gone through so much in my life. There's nothing that you could do that's going to faze me. I've almost been raped in my life. I've had to fight out of certain situations in my life that I had to fight for my life several times. So you could say a negative comment about me on YouTube. You think that's going to faze me? You could say whatever you want about me, that I'm crazy, that what I'm talking about. So they try to dominate conversations by flexing with their words and dominate. I don't need to do that. My information speaks for itself. When it's my turn to speak, I speak. Right? I don't need to dominate that way. I don't need to be an alpha male in that way. I'm an alpha male when I need to be. You know what I mean? And this community here is crazy. And the only reason why I even got into alternative radio and YouTube and all of that, because I needed my message to get heard, and I needed an outlet for my research, because the average person in our families, our friends, anywhere, they don't want to hear about ancient Sumerian friggin' writings and this and that and all the stuff that I've been studying for the last 30 years. I'll be 44 in July, and I've been studying this stuff since middle school, literally. I was into it way before that even. But I didn't really start seriously getting into it until I was like 13, 14. And then, it just became an obsession, reading about it. Because I needed answers for things that I experienced. Right? I needed to know more. Once you cross the line between belief and faith, and then seeing some shit and knowing it's real, it's different. So I didn't need somebody to tell me that it's not real, it could be real, have faith, this, that. I saw some things, and I knew certain things existed, and now I needed about it. And that's what led me into all this research, and how I have 3 decades of research already in my mid-40s. So not only, so it's not only, I don't always talk about having a psychic connection, but it's part of who I am. When I research a topic, I receive a deeper imprint of what I'm researching. I get visions coming to me. And I don't think that's just my creativeness and my mind just, being creative. I know the difference between me creating something and saying, hey, I'm going to draw a picture and I'm going to do this. But in fact, people don't realize it's both entwined. When you're being creative and time disappears as you're being creative, where you're either drawing or you're writing music or you're writing a book or you're researching or you're writing poetry or you're cooking and you're really into it, or whatever you do that you're creative at, and it's almost like a spiritual thing for you where it's a passion, and when you do it, you're so into it where all your worries, it's like they don't even exist at that moment. Time doesn't even exist at that moment. Everything else that's when you can actually, for me at least, channel in higher information. And it actually will flow into your creativity. And if you're an artist, sometimes it'll appear in your art that you just did. And it'll appear sometimes right in your music. Right? And then later on, and then, I find stuff that I was writing when I was younger, say at the time I was writing a song, and 4 hours just passed out of nowhere. And it felt like I was in there for 10 minutes, and I was writing a song, and I was just really into it. During the time of that writing, I was getting images of other beings. I was writing this song, and say at the time I felt like I was writing a song about an ex-girlfriend or something, right? Later on, when I would read the lyrics, yes, it could be read that way, but then there was this other hidden meaning to it all that I didn't realize until later on, where it was It's hard to describe, but it's like it just flows. It's just like that's why some people can do automatic writing and things like that sometimes, where things just can flow, right? But there's a fine line to cross where you let something take you in body when it's a true channel. Some people are deceivers. They're telling you they're channeling some entity from some planet, and they're talking for the person. Yeah, and they're saying that they're coherent at the time, and they're remembering everything, and they're saying they're channeling somebody, right? They'll even like change voices a little bit sometimes. I tend to not agree with these people. They might be psychic, but I don't agree with what's going on now. When somebody really channels, in most cases, they're not even coherent about what's going on. It's like they're either sleeping or just shut off, and something else steps in for them, and they have to be told what was said during that session. A lot of times, positive results from some of these experiences. Some people have been psychic healed this way, and things like that. But it can be devastating for mind, body, and soul, and it's very dangerous to try to achieve higher information this way. When we shouldn't need that middleman. That middleman shouldn't have to be there. And that's a big problem. And I think that's what probably weighed heavy on Edgar Cayce. Is there and some of these either psychic surgeons like Z Arrigo from Brazil, who was healing sometimes over 200 people a day. After he worked a normal job during the day, he would come home at night and do it for free. In Brazil, poor people would just line up at his door every night, and he would be healing them for free, doing cataract surgeries on them, just jamming an unclean knife into their eye and pulling out their cataracts in a matter of 30 seconds with no doctor experience or surgery experience or anything like that. Not even cleaning his utensils and surgical equipment. And nobody was getting infections, and they were getting healed. Right? And he said that it was a German doctor that died in 1916 or whatever, Dr. Fritz, that was stepping in and doing the surgeries for him and doing the diagnosis. He would literally have somebody stand in front of him. He would diagnose them and do surgery on them with a rusty knife within a minute. Take out tumors, all of this. And the doctors here in the United States were like, this can't be true when they heard about it. This got to be some kind of hypnotism or something that's going on. So Dr. Andrade Henry Puharich, who was a well-respected surgeon in the United States and a psychiatrist for the Army, and also somebody that was doing psychic experiments and all sorts of stuff. He worked with Peter Herkos, which was a known Dutch psychic at the time. He worked with Uri Geller. A lot of these different psychics. Phyllis Schlummer, Phyllis. There was a whole bunch of different ones. They were, of course, Dr. Vinoid and all these guys. They were putting mystics and psychics in copper Faraday cages, and some of them were communicating with the quote-unquote the nine and all of this. This was going on. So this is the same doctor who went to Dr. Puharich, who worked for the Army intelligence as well. This was the same one who went to research Arrigo in Brazil, right? I have the book where Dr. Puharich talks about it in his books, but there's also a separate book that I have called Arrigo, I think it's called The Surgeon with the Rusty Knife or whatever. But he went to go research this guy in Brazil and actually got surgery from him as well. Doctor, I have one of those things too. Those fatty tumors. Like Dr. Puharich had one on his elbow, and Arrigo. Dr. Puharich was standing in front of Arrigo, and Dr. Puharich looked over at the cameraman to make sure the cameraman was recording. By the time he looked back at Arrigo was holding the tumor already in his hand that he took out. Dr. Puharich never felt the incision on his arm. He used his little Swiss Army knife that he had There was a little incision on his arm. He had pulled out the tumor and passed it to Dr. Puharich right on camera. And they just put a bandage over it. No antiseptics or antibiotics or anything like that. And he never got an infection. And it healed. All of this. And he was using the same knife that he was using on other people. And he would just wipe it off on his shirt and go right to the next guy. Crazy. And nobody was getting infections. And that guy was killed, actually, I think. He actually died in a mysterious car crash in Brazil in the 70s. Where, you know, he was found, like he hit a tree and he was found with the car door open. But I think that he was beat up and killed first, and then it was made to look like a car accident. But that's just me. You know, but yeah, he died in the 1970s. He was only in his like 40s or 50s too. I don't even think he was that old when he died. Z. Rodrigo. Chill the fuck out prayer. Well, we could do combat prayers together. The thing is, I don't do readings or prayers online anymore. When I do readings, it's privately. I'll do it privately without being on Wi-Fi or computers, because I believe that opens up distortions. So when I do a prayer, we can plan it. Wherever you guys are, say we're going to do it at 5:30 my time. We'll plan it. And whatever time it is at your time zone, we'll do it on our own, where collectively we're connecting like a web of power without all these computers involved. And we could do a combat prayer together. You know, we could collectively change as a people. We're just so accustomed to getting things right at the tips of our fingers, right the very moment we need it, or want it. At least we don't need it, want it. See, look, the boat confirmed it in the distance. See, they honked it. They honked me for it. See, confirmed. Boom. See? You like that, right? I hope I made you smile at least. Yeah, orgone and shungite and copper. You know, I always got copper on. Always. Yep. And I'm going to do, the other night on my Patreon, I wrote an article about it, and then I went live on Zoom just for my patrons. I'm going to do another one tonight. Last night I couldn't because I had something come up. But tonight I'm going to be on my Patreon again. And the other night I revealed the specific coordinates that I remote viewed on the Euphrates River, where I believe there are ancient installations that are going to be revealed in the future. And they talk about them right in the Sumerian tablets. And even in the Bible. And even Muslims, even Muhammad talked about how the Euphrates River is going to dry up and something's going to be revealed. I think they even say like a mountain of gold in one of the stories. But I revealed the two locations specifically because on like the Leak Project and the other shows that I've been on, I talked about the Euphrates River, and I believe there's installation there, but I didn't give out the specific coordinates. That's only specifically for my patrons and for my upcoming book in the future. And I can't just be putting all that out publicly. But if you're really into the information, that's where to find it. I posted it on my Patreon. And it's really interesting, actually, because on the live chat we went into the specific coordinate that it's on the Euphrates River and what they have built on it. And the interesting things that they have inside the place they built over the location. Really interesting stuff. And it's for those that are really interested in this information. You know? There's a reason why there's such a explosion of interest in Anunnaki and Nephilim and Sumerian, Assyrian, Egyptian, you know, all of this stuff. What's up, Zach? There's a reason why. And we are literally being made the new Nephilim, you'll see. It's happening right before our eyes, for sure. Yup, hit that like button for sure. Smash that. I also have a new channel for just combat sports information and a new channel for just copper, crystals, and megalithic stones. You could find that at Sacred Taurus, Copper and Crystals. Sacred Taurus, Copper and Crystals. You better subscribe to that now. And also, if you are into the martial arts and combat sports, subscribe to Combat Sports TV International. Because there is another Combat Sports TV, I realized. So I made it Combat Sports TV International. Because I'm interviewing combat sports experts and legends from all over the world. I've already interviewed Hawaiian, Japanese, Brazilians, Americans, all bunch of different. So check that out. And these are guys that don't just talk. These are guys that have changed the world through teaching people not just martial arts, but a new way of life. How to be humble, how to treat people with respect. It's not just about punching and kicking. When you step in with your coach, it's like stepping into a spiritual sanctuary. It's a humbling experience. And a lot of the men in this community that I'm in never have been humbled in those ways. So they bark. I'm the only one who's right. I shut up. I'll strangle you. and then I'll show you. No. It's annoying how a lot of these people just are barking out there, and they're always talking about like they're the one that's right, when reality they don't know nothing. They don't. They're just repeating what someone else said, most likely. You know, most people that have degrees too, like, you had to follow the curriculum to get that degree. It's not like you were like self-thinking at all. You had to follow what the curriculum, or otherwise you can't pass. So you're just being taught what they're giving you. I don't know. But thank you everybody for joining me. We were revealing some really deep information, and if you want the specifics, you got to go to my Patreon. Tonight we'll be back live. Well, I'll be actually talking about more about the Kuiper Belt as well, and what happened on North Salem Balanced Rock Sunday, when with the transmission. I actually discovered a chamber there that goes around the rock. Really amazing. So have a good day, guys, and be safe, and Spiral out.